Right. Get their name. And tell them one thing about you. I don't care what it is, your favorite color or how you're feeling right now. Tell them one thing about you. All right, now it's time for a quiz. Who did you introduce yourself with?
I introduced myself to Mary.
Okay, and tell me, what did Mary share with you?
She's in my Psych 405 class.
Did you know that?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you, Mary. And then who did you introduce yourself to?
Can't pronounce Shiggy.
Oh, unique name. What did he share with you?
He's a psych major and wants to be a dance coach. Yeah.
Check you out, merging two worlds that don't usually go together. How about in the back with the beanie? Who'd you introduce yourself to? Okay, and what did Medea share with you? That she lives in Fullerton. Okay, don't stalk her now. Okay, what about here in the hat?
Skylar, right? And she's a women's studies teacher.
All right, Skylar, we need you. Okay, and then what about right here? You didn't? Ooh, so I found my rebel in the audience. So now tell us all something about you. And tell us your name, 'cause I don't know your name. Diego? What's that?
Econ major.
Econ major? Okay. So funny how we usually just want to share our major. Right? That's all you want to share. You're like, hi, I'm in psych. Or hi, I'm an engineer. Hi. This one was pretty unique, right? This was pretty unique. We got dance and what was it? Psych? And psych. Okay, so today, if you haven't realized already, I'm going to force you to do a lot of things today. But it's all for your well-being. And you made it out here in the rain on a Friday in the morning. Oh my gosh, let's give you a round of applause. Let's give you a round of applause. That's amazing. It's amazing. That's a big accomplishment for a college student. Okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background and I'm going to show you what we're going to actually cover and make of our 45 minutes together. Okay? So my name is Melanie. I do teach here in the Comm Studies department. I did not plan on being a teacher, by the way, which we'll talk about. I did graduate here from Cal State Long Beach and had all these dreams and aspirations and all these other things that you may have, which we'll talk about in a second. And then it didn't pan out that way. And I was kind of like, what the hell, right? And then I had to figure some things out. And then I ended up here, back here, at a place I thought I'm never going back, right? After you're done, you graduate. Back here. And then I found out, wait, I guess I'm going to teach. I guess that's what I'm doing. But then I fell into motivational speaking and things like that. And I'll share more about my story as we go along. So today, the big question is, now what, right? You're graduating. So what's next? You tell me. What's next? What are you going to do?
Take a nap.
Take a nap, yes. Recover on all that sleep you've lost. What else? Graduate school. Okay, anybody not going to graduate school? Everyone here is going to graduate school? Nancy, you're going to take a break, okay? Do you know how long of a break?
Like a year or two.
Okay.
Travel.
Travel. Anybody say, I don't know what I'm doing yet?
That too.
That too. Who feels like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to see your hands. Look around. You're not alone in that. And a lot of times that I don't know, that weird liminal space feels really lonely. And you kind of get shamed a little bit about not knowing. So we're going to do a series of different exercises. The biggest thing I want you to take home today is understanding that how you define success is really going to shape the rest of your life. I know that sounds very like, how can that be possible? It's the one consistent thing I've seen as a teacher. I wasn't a student too long ago, and then coming back as a teacher and seeing that there's this same narrative being played out about success, and you find out later the hard way that that's not actually it. So that's really what we're going to focus on. There's a million things I could tell you about how to be successful or be happy or be whatever word you want to use after graduation, right? But we're going to focus on the word success. So how do you define success? I want you to, if you don't have a piece of paper, they have some for you. So literally, I want you to put what comes to mind when you think of success. What does success look like? When you think of that word, when you hear that word, what comes to mind? How will you know when you've arrived? How will you know when you get there? So again, just brainstorm. Put anything that comes to mind on paper. And if you need a piece of paper, just raise your hand. They'll share their nice paper over here. Oh, of course, Michelle on the other side, right? So again, no right or wrong answer. What comes to mind? I want you to put it on paper. I want you to put it on paper. They're going to pass them down right here. Yeah. So if you don't have paper, again, there's plenty to go around. We can find you a pen or a pencil. Sure, her neighbor needs one. She's being nice. So again, anything that comes to mind, what does success look like? How will you know when you get there? Hi, ladies. Join us. All we're doing is writing down what does success look like. That's all you're doing. I'm going to give you about another minute. Again, write down as much as you can. Really, just put every thought down. What does success look like, and how will you know when you get there? All right, let's see what we got. What do we got so far? I'm going to have you share. I'm going to ask a bunch of different people, so just raise your hand so I don't have to pull teeth. It's early for me too. What did we put? What was your name?
Geneva.
Geneva, what'd you put?
I think my biggest marker of like me feeling successful is being fulfilled by whatever it is I'm doing.
Okay, so some sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, like that I'm not just working and making money. I mean, that's
Okay.
obviously great, and I want to be living comfortably, but I definitely want to be fulfilled.
Okay. What else? Other terms of success. What do they look like? What was your name?
Matthew?
Matthew, what'd you put?
When like my hobbies and things like that are like wastes of time right now are no longer wastes of time.
Okay.
I freely do whatever I choose because I'm comfortable in where I am.
Okay, so being able to actually have more time for your hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Saw another hand? Yes.
So I put being financially stable, happy, and feeling accomplished.
Okay, so financially stable, happy, and feeling accomplished. Okay, what else? What does success look like over here? What does it look like? Tell me. I have nowhere to be, guys, so I'm very patient. So you know. Yes.
Making goals and meeting them.
Okay, so actually attaining the goals you have set out for yourself. Okay. What else does success look like? Yes.
For me, I put a high-paying, stable job, a happy marriage, and a nice, well-decorated home.
Can you say that very loud again?
A high-paying, stable job, a happy marriage, and a nice, well-decorated home.
Yes. Okay, this is the winning answer. I hear the most. So when I ask my incoming freshmen, I teach both lower classmen and upperclassmen. My freshmen, when you first came to college, think about it. I know you're graduating seniors and you're not that person anymore, But when you first came to college, why did you come? What do you think the answers were? Why did you come here? I was forced by my parents. That's definitely one. What's the next one? Common ones. Come on. You can do this. You're all graduating seniors. I believe in you.
A better life.
I want a better life. What does that mean? What does a better life entail? More money, status, a good paying job. I just want to be successful, right? Is usually the thing that I hear. Now, all these things are very abstract and they're very subjective. They can mean a lot of different things. What is a happy marriage? What is a nicely decorated home? What is a high-paying job? Right? That all means different things to you. So where do you think that we get these different ideas of success? Where do you get them from? You weren't just born a little cute baby and had these ideas of success. Where did it come from? Your family? Okay, society? Anywhere else?
Media.
The media, definitely. Like what? What media, what specifically? What do we watch?
Reality TV shows.
TV, reality TV. Oh my gosh, we watch people living their life as we stop our life to watch theirs, right? Movies, I mean, now we have stuff going straight to streaming, right? That's a popular thing. It's so accessible now, all this media. So yes, a lot of it is coming from our culture. So we're going to dissect that a little bit. Like I said, the most popular thing I hear students say, especially when they come to college, is I want to be successful. Now, yes, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but when you leave here, nobody cares about your degree. All it is an expensive key to open doors. That's all it does. You know where my diploma is right now? In a box. That's where it is. And nobody's ever asked to see it. They briefly will ask details, but everything you're going to learn about your job, you're going to learn at your job, I hate to say. Now, if you're going to be a doctor or an engineer, or one of those really path-driven jobs, then yeah, you got to, learn some stuff at school. But a lot of what you're going to use is on the job. And I hate to tell people this. I'm not saying that college is pointless, or else I wouldn't be here as a teacher if I thought it was pointless. But what I'm saying is it's limiting. You think it's going to do all these amazing things, but it's not. You're going to have to do all those amazing things. So let's talk about what we were saying about society. So success in our culture, in American culture specifically, is very valued on high achievement. So status, how much money you make, what kind of car do you drive, are you married? If you're not married and you're pushing, your mid-30s, what's wrong with you? Is everything okay? It must be you. No, it's not everybody else. Do you want babies? Why don't you want babies? Right? Do you have a nice home? Do you own your home? Or like they joke about millennials like to rent everything, right? There was this one little meme I read. It was about Wheel of Fortune. And it said a millennial was like, can I buy a vowel? And they were like, do you mean rent a vowel? I was like, oh my gosh, ouch, how mean, right? So there's all these different American dreams, all these boxes we need to check. And so you've been influenced by this since you were a little kid. Does anybody have little kids around? I mean, not your kids, but like little cousins, siblings, things. Isn't it incredible the things that they learn so young? So where my women's studies person was, they learn about gender constructs very early. Pink is for girls, blue is for boys. All right, so all these cultural norms start really young. And unfortunately, they are also mirrored in our school system. So in our school system, you've been in school for a very long time now. You're tired, right? So think about how many years have you been in school now if we count kindergarten? How many years is that? You're like, I don't know, we're CLA, we're not math students, we're not math majors. Lots of years. At least what? Yeah, you go 12, at least 16-ish around there, right? 17-ish. It's a lot of conditioning to undergo. If you think about our school system, it is very linear based. The way our time orientation in our culture is also very linear based. Everything is past, present, future. We say that time is money. Do not waste my time. We say things like that, right? It's a very American thing to do. Now, if you look at our school system, the school has taught you, again, it is linear, that life is systemic. You do this, and then this will happen. You go to, first grade, then you go to second grade. Then you go to third grade, then you go to fourth grade. And you just linear, okay? Then you also learn that achievement and success is transactional. That if you do your homework, what will happen? You're going to get good grades. And if you get good grades, what's going to happen? You're going to get to a better school. And if you get into a better school, what does that mean? Oh my God, you're going to be so successful, right? So again, it is transactional. If you do this, then that will happen, okay? So it's very formulaic in a way. Then you see here, it's very achievement driven. They don't just say C's get degrees. Woo! That's not what they promote in high school. But maybe you've learned that trick already, right? You're like senioritis, C's get degrees at this point. But typically they push that things are, you want to be in, all the honors classes. You want to be in every club you can be in. You want a 4.0 because if you don't have a 4.0, or now I feel like the normal is like being a over 4.0, right? It's like, oh, you're just a 4.0? So it's crazy, okay? It's the level of anxiety students are experiencing now is unreal, and the stats and the quantitative research is really staggering. So again, achievement driven, and then this last one. What does it mean to be compliant? What does that word mean? Compliant. I'm sure it was on the SATs. Compliant, what does that mean? Would you like me to use it in a sentence? You are not being compliant right now. Just kidding, right here in the glasses. Go ahead. Yeah.
Compliant, like following directions.
Yeah, so listening, following directions, being obedient, if you will. I don't know if anyone in here was ever not that kid that didn't fit in the box, that didn't like to sit in class for however many 6 hours, right, in high school. If you don't check the boxes and if you can't follow the directions the way they are and fit into this little standardized testing box, you are either deemed as you must have ADHD, or you must have some learning disorder, or you must not be smart, you must be all these things, right? And they're all negative connotations if you don't fit that box. So no wonder why you get here and you're about to enter a world where there is no structure anymore, there are no classes, there are no GE requirements to follow. No wonder it's a little scary, and no wonder you're getting anxious about it. And if you have these ideas that perhaps are not so linear, they don't have a path. For example, a lot of my students who are comm majors, they say, oh my God, I have too many options of what to do with my degree. I don't know what I'm doing. As opposed to somebody who's going to be a nursing major, they have a clear path and clear goal. So again, we worry about, well, I'm supposed to follow this, let's say, recipe, right, for success. I'm supposed to be compliant to it, and if I'm not, then, oh my gosh, what if I fail? So again, look at how long you've been living in these conditions. It's a long time. And I don't care how, let's say you're like, no, I'm very strong-willed. Anybody can be worn down to the system, right? And I'm sure all of you have in some ways you've given up hobbies that you really love because, oh my gosh, I have 5 classes a semester, I have 6 classes, and I have a job, and I have this. So yeah, no wonder some of you, whoever said, I want to take a nap when I graduate, whoever that was. Yes, right? So there's a lot of school conditioning and from society. So when we get to this word, happiness, what does that mean? What makes you happy? Because success is subjective, right? All success means in the dictionary is an outcome that you have foreseen, getting an outcome that you wanted. That's success, okay? You wanted to get here safely in the rain. Woo, success. That was an achievement, okay? So happiness is the same way. It's subjective. What makes you happy may not make you happy, may not make you happy. So what I want you to do now is tell me, what does happiness look like to you? So write that down. What is happiness? What makes you happy? So really not just happy like, ooh, I got a cinnamon roll. This is my favorite. I love Cinnabon. Not that kind of happy. I mean really happy. Like in your soul happy. That fulfillment we're talking about. What does that for you? What makes you happy? So what do we put? What'd you put? Seeing your parents happy. Okay. What else makes us happy? Yes.
For me, it's just being stress-free and anything that like takes me away from like adulting or responsibilities.
So anything that is not adulting makes me happy. Okay. What else? Seeing my parents happy, avoiding all the adulting that is waiting for me after graduation. What else? I need to hear more. What else makes you happy? Yes.
Traveling, like new experiences.
Okay, traveling, new experiences. Great. What else? What else feeds your soul? Yes. Food, literally food. Okay.
My dog.
Your dog? What about your dog? What is it? Just the dog knowing it exists?
No, I guess making her happy.
Okay. Making your dog happy. Seeing your dog happy. What else makes us happy? Yes.
See if my kids graduate college.
Ooh, okay. Seeing your kids graduate. Nice.
Like trying new things.
Trying new things. You two need to be friends. Okay. What else in the back? What makes you happy? What'd you write down? Yes.
Finding myself.
Finding yourself. That could be a miserable process sometimes. But it makes you happy. Okay. What else? Someone else in the back. Yes. Traveling and music festivals. So what is it about traveling exactly that makes you happy?
Just bonding with my family every summer.
Okay, so going with your family. So that's different than just traveling. So traveling with your family. Was yours just traveling or traveling with certain people?
Just like new experiences in general.
Okay, so what is it about the traveling and the new experiences?
It puts you out of your comfort zone.
And why do you like that? People hate get it. When I made you all move, you're like, ugh. Why? So what is it about coming out of your comfort zone that makes you happy? Because most people are not too thrilled all the time about being pushed out of their comfort zone.
I like to meet people.
So why?
Go to new places.
Why?
That's fulfilling. It's satisfying.
Okay, it's satisfying, it's fulfilling. I saw someone else raise their hand.
I like meeting new people, like going out to a different country and looking at their perspective and how they see things. It's really interesting. It gets
Okay.
you out of your comfort zone, and you kind of like expand your mind. When you
So learning,
Yeah.
perhaps gaining that knowledge. Okay, what about right here? What makes you happy? Because you don't look happy right now. What makes you happy? Yes, you got something else?
Yeah, trying new things.
I'm telling you, some of you got friends on the other side of the room. What else makes you happy? Something different that we haven't heard yet.
Working with children.
Working with children. Why? I used to work with children. Oh my gosh. You don't know? Okay. So that's an answer I hear a lot. You're like, this makes me happy, fill in the blank with whatever you said. And then I say, why? And I push, and I'm like, I don't know, it just does. I think get all mad. And it's funny because that's a really important part of your happiness, is understanding what is it about working with children? What is it about traveling? What is it about meeting new people from different cultures that sparks that feeling that's so hard to describe, but that you know you want and that you like and you want it to keep it around, right? So we have to really dig deep in understanding that, because life after graduation is going to be a lot of figuring yourself out. And some of it is going to be miserable, and it's probably because you don't understand what it is about your happiness. What is it? Why is it that this is so important? You're going to go into a world that is going to tell you you need to be a lot of things, and you should do a lot of things. I know you have those voices, that word. Your parents saying you should do this, or your own voices saying, I know I should apply to this job, even though I'm kind of not passionate about it. I may be good at it, but I don't really love it, right? So we have all these shoulds, and when you live in a world like that, you really need to know who you are and what makes you happy, or else you will negotiate those things that make you happy in exchange for things that you think you should do, right? To be, again, compliant to what success means. And this negotiation, this process, this discovery is never ending. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So I want you to look at your list. Okay, some of you didn't share. Look at your list, kind of just briefly. Is there a theme? Does it have to do with making other people happy, seeing other people happy? Kind of see what kind of patterns you see there. Now, these are some common mistakes people make, and not just people as in young people. I mean people across the board. When I meet with professionals who want coaching, when I meet with young adults who are about to enter a new chapter in their life, this is across the board, okay? Parents, everybody. So this is one of the biggest ones, is that your happiness is conditional. It's conditionally based. When this happens, when X happens, I will be happy. When I see my parents happy, that's when I'll be happy. When my partner does something nice for me, that's when I feel happy. So those are all externally based, outside of yourself. Now, why is that problematic? Tell me. To have your happiness based, conditioned. Go ahead. It can be taken away from you at any time. How crappy. How crappy to live your life that way, where you're not in control of your own happiness, right? I mean, that is such a fundamental thing that I hope you leave with remembering that today. That if you have this, you have that grass is always greener kind of, inclination. Okay, check, marked, graduation, now what's next? Check, got the job, now what? If you keep living your life that way, guess what? Nothing is ever going to be enough. Ever. Because there's always something else to achieve. Always. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. I was that student who I was in college by 17. I graduated in 4 years. Did not go over the 4 years. I was like, I'm getting out of here. And then went straight into my master's program. 2 years. So I was young and ready and be like, boom, I got 2 degrees. What world? Like, show me where all my, where's that pot of gold? And guess what the world said? Did that. The world just laughed and was like, oh, that's cute, right? That's adorable. What happened to me, I couldn't get a job for like 6 months. Either I was overqualified or didn't have enough experience, because I couldn't intern during my years in college because I had 2 jobs. I put myself through college. It was literally, there was not enough time in the day to do an internship. So those of you doing internships, oh my gosh, you have such an advantage that you can't even fathom yet, really, until you get into the world like you're not in it already. So anyway, couldn't get a job, and then guess what? Student loans came knocking on my door, and they're like, oh, your 6-month grace period is over. Can we have our money now? Right? So I had to get a job that could pay the bills. It slowly began to decay my soul. It was in an office space, 9 to 5. I realized really quickly that was not for me. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so miserable. I'm back living with my parents, super cool. So what do I do now? I did an internship for free with my master's degree. I was working for free. That did not make sense, right? And that was not in the contract that I signed when I got my degree. Then after that, I did the internship, and I was like, oh, they're going to hire me. They love me. Did they hire me? No, they didn't. $10 an hour with a master's degree. You do the math. Student loans, paying for a car, basic things like cell phone, trying to feed myself. It was not easy. Okay, and again, I checked all the boxes. Yes?
What are your degrees in?
Communication studies.
Both of them?
Yes, we're going to do Q&A after. So what happened at this point, I was at a very low space, as you can imagine. Can barely afford to pay back my student loans, let alone live. Then finally that place I entered said, oh my God, we have a position, come. So I was like, yes, I'm successful now. I'm making money, I have benefits, I have a 401k, what is that, right? It was amazing. And then I worked there and I got a new car. I was about to sign a lease on a nice apartment down in Los Angeles. I was working for one of the top organizations in their industry. And then guess what happened? They had to lay me off because they did not get the amount of revenue that they expected for the year. So they cut literally their organization in half. And I just happened to be part of that half. Oh, and do you remember the part where I said I bought a new car? That was cool, right? Thank God I didn't sign the lease to that apartment yet. So again, down in the dumps. And that's when I began to realize that my happiness was conditional. I was so concerned about checking all of these boxes. And let me tell you, even the boxes I have checked after that, I realized sometimes you feel the same after checking the box. So really be mindful of this, that you really make sure your happiness is not conditional. You can actually choose to be happy during the process. So this next one is using the word happiness and success as synonyms, and that they're interchangeable. They're not interchangeable, okay? It's really important. Again, if you remember only two things, please remember this, that success does not equal happiness. I have met very successful people. I'm talking entrepreneurs in their 20s making millions of dollars, and they're very successful of what we would deem successful in our society. And guess what? They don't feel completely happy. Because again, where does happiness come from? In here. That fulfillment a lot of you are talking about. And I'm glad you're talking about that. Because a couple years ago when I was doing this talk, people were not talking about that fulfillment. But we're seeing that the millennial generation are more concerned with work-life balance and having meaningful work. So that you just don't clock in, clock out. You actually want some meaning to your work and what you're doing, what you're contributing to this world. So again, success does not equal happiness, and happiness doesn't need success. You can be happy and not, quote unquote, having these achievements, these really kind of meaningless achievements that that society has said this is what success means, right? It's really up for, again, negotiation. What does that mean to you? So I laugh at parents, especially when I talk to parents and they say, I just want my kids to be happy. Okay, think about your parents. If you were to say, Mom, Dad, I'm buying a shack on the beach in Hawaii, it makes me happy, I'm going to drop out of school, I don't need my degree. I'm going to grow some crop on my land. What would your parents say to that? What would your parents say to that? You're going like this, what does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? Why are you shaking your head?
They would be happy.
But you say, Mom, you said you just wanted me to be happy. This makes me happy.
They would say no.
They're like, no, that's not what I meant when I said I want you to be happy. What parents mean when they say that is, I want my child to be successful. That's what they mean, right? And it's a hard conversation to have with parents sometimes to see that. Now I'm saying there's, again, happiness, like trivial happiness, like, ooh, I love Cinnabon and I'm eating my Cinnabon and I'm happy. And I'm talking like really deep fulfillment, really in your gut, in your soul, to really feel this would make me happy to go to Hawaii, to live in this hut, to be on the beach. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. And of course, people around you, if they are still, abiding to that prescription given by society, you're not going to get that support. So it's important, again, to understand, what do you mean when you say that working with kids makes you happy? What about it makes you happy? And understanding that you can be happy along the journey and not be checking the boxes that everybody wants you to check. Be very careful if you're living your life connected to other people's expectations. Why? Why is that dangerous? To live a life making other people, fulfilling other people's expectations of you, like your parents. Why is that dangerous? Because what?
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
What doesn't happen?
Like, you don't perform as well as other people's deem you to be, and so it can affect you.
Okay.
I think it encourages like kind of losing yourself and not really having your own desires and thinking your own thoughts.
Yeah, you kind of give yourself away. You know, you're a unique individual. There's nobody in the world like you. Nobody. I mean, if you have a twin, they look like you, but they're not you. They're not you. I have cousins who are twins. They're totally opposite, right? So you are your own unique individual. So let's break down the last part of this whole thing. And let's talk about change. You can figure out, let's say in a year, you figure out, oh my gosh, I know exactly what it is that makes me happy. And I know why it makes me happy. And I know what success looks like now and how that's separate and what my goals are, right? So let's say you figure that out. And that's great. I'm so excited for you. But this piece of research is going to show you that this is a never-ending process. So there is a study done by Dan Gilbert. He's a psychologist over at Harvard. And he did this really interesting study. And he asked a bunch of 18-year-olds, hey, you know, what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? So tell me your hobbies, tell me your interests right now. And how much do you think you're going to change in the next decade? And they're like, yeah, I'll probably change a little bit, right? I'm only 18. But not much. You know, I know who I am. So then, what did he do? He went and asked 28-year-olds and said, hey, how much have you changed? What do you think they said? Since you were 18, how much have you changed? Tremendously. They're like, oh my God, I've changed. I'm not even the same person who I was at 18 years old. And so Dan Gilbert's like, oh, okay, great. You know, well, since you've changed so much, how much do you think you're going to change in the next 10 years? And they said, you know, I really feel like I know who I am. Probably not much. I'll change a little, but not much. And then guess what happened? They asked 38-year-olds how much they've changed since they were 28. What do you think they said? Oh my gosh, I've changed so much. I'm not even the same person anymore. This went on, this phenomena of thinking, I've figured it out now. I got it. I'm not going to change a lot. I know who I am. This kept happening all the way until age 68. 68. And then it kind of plateaued off and there was less change. That means you got a lot of changing ahead of you. So just when you think you got it figured out and you're like, yes, I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm going to do this. Time and life happens and you change. And then you have to rediscover what makes me happy now. What makes me happy now. It's a lot of work, but it can be enjoyable work. And there's a million things I wish I could share with you right now that I could say, hey, please don't make these mistakes. But sometimes these mistakes are best learned the hard way, right? This information. We make our own mistakes. Anybody stubborn here like that? It's like, no, I'm gonna make my own mistakes. Good for you. Go for it. Do what you got to do. Now, if I can only leave you with a little pieces of advice in regards to all of this change, one of the best things you can do, and some of you have already mentioned it, is get to know yourself by investing in yourself. Now, I don't mean by investing in yourself career-wise, by attending some, workshop or something specific to your career. That's not what I mean. You've spent the past X amount of years in school, counting college and everything before, learning how to make a living. Everyone asking you, what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to do when you grow up? I still tell people, I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up because I'm still not grown up. I don't know, right? I'm figuring it out. So you need to understand that now is time for you, at least. I wish they started this process a lot sooner in college because there's so much room to do this in college because you're learning so much about yourself. So start investing in you. Explore. Some of you said, I love to travel. Oh my gosh, travel. If you've ever thought of, hey, I might want to move. I think I want to live in San Francisco. I think I want to live in wherever. Do it. Do it now before you put roots in the ground. That's probably one of my biggest regrets. I tried. There were times where I applied to jobs and they're like, oh my gosh, we would love to have you in our New York office, but we need you in LA. And I was like, no, take me in New York, right? So if you can travel, travel. If you want to try new things, now is the time to fail, right? A lot of us we think of failure, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? Bad thing, right? So we see failure as a negative thing. Failure can be a beautiful process. I can even tell you how many times I have failed. But if I hadn't failed and I hadn't tried, I wouldn't be here. So those failures were my best teachings. And if you learn to separate your achievements and failures, because they are, the same coin, just different sides. If you learn to separate your self-worth from your achievements and your failures, you're going to find a whole lot of bravery. Okay? If you fail, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means, hey, you tried something, didn't work out, dust yourself off, and you try something else. But a lot of the time, again, because of the school system and how you've been conditioned, your self-worth is attached to who you are. Your failures. So if you fail, then it's like, oh, you're a failure. But that's not it. Okay? So really learn to separate the two. Just because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. If you can do that, you'd be amazed of how brave and courageous you will become. This next one I wanted to share with you is the number one regret of people who are dying. There's this qualitative research done. This woman, she worked in like a hospice care and started to interview people of like, what was your biggest regret when now that you're on your deathbed? What would you wish you had done? So she compiled a list of 10 things. When I found out that I was going to tell you this advice and that it was one of the biggest regrets, I was like, oh, I have to let them know. So this was literally the number one on the list. What do you think it was? Let's guess. Let's try to figure it out. What do you think? People on their deathbed were like, I wish I would have what? Fill in the blank.
Try new things.
I wish I would have tried new things. Not it. Good guess. Ooh, you're close. Okay. I wish I would have done things for myself instead of other people. What else?
Travel more.
I wish I would have traveled more. That's not it, but good guess.
Had a family.
I wish that was on the list, but not number one. What else? Regrets. What would they regret? One was working too much.
I wish I would have
Work less.
Yes, so working too much, but it wasn't number one. It was on the list of top 10. What were you going to say, Nancy?
Doing what you love.
Ooh, so you two are close. So yes, let's see what survey says. It is, I never pursued my dreams or my aspirations. So some of us, we have dreams and we're told what about them? What are you told about some of your dreams? That what? It's not realistic. It's not practical, right? So we get told that it's just, you need to be more realistic. You need something that's more safe. That's really risky, what you want to do. And then you have these people who, again, on their deathbed are telling you, oh my gosh, I wish I would have at least tried. And I'll tell you right now, me doing talks like this and the business that I've created out of this are my dreams and aspirations. And I just started this maybe 2 years ago. And I graduated with my BA in 2009. I just started it because I finally hit a point where I went to a conference and I saw people doing what I want to do. And I was sitting as an attendee and I thought, that should be me up there. And it frustrated me. And I thought, you know what, I can either go the rest of my life always wondering, or I can do it and fail and be like, that was cool. That was a nice try. At least I know I did it. And I could live with the failure than living with the idea of never knowing and always wondering. Right? So I finally had to make that decision. And one day you'll have to make that decision. So what they said here, well, like someone was saying, don't live. They had said, when they had said this, the number one regret in the dying, the people in the interview, they said, I wish I hadn't spent my time living up to other people's expectations and making other people happy. I wish I would have had the courage to go after what it is that I really wanted instead of playing it safe and thinking, you know, well, I guess that just wasn't in the cards for me. But then never really trying, right? So again, keep that in mind. Find the courage. I hate the word when people say, well, you know, this is fine. I'll be fine. This is good. I'll just settle here. You only get this life once. And I say, like, again, I'd rather be full of tons of mistakes and failures than always wondering what if, okay? The last two. First one is be present. You're going to have this inclination to want to compare yourself to your friends around you. Oh, well, so-and-so already got a job. So-and-so already did this. Don't compare yourself. You're going to go crazy. Literally, you're going to go crazy. Don't do that. Find ways to be present. Remember we talked about being happy? Being happy right now. It doesn't have to be conditionally based on, you know, if you get that job, if this happens, if you make so much X amount of money. So learn to be happy now. This was another thing on that top 10 list of dying. People said, I didn't realize that happiness was a choice. I didn't realize that I could choose to be happy before I get that job, before I get, whatever the goal was. So it is always a decision, and remember that. Okay, there is this, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Alan Watts. He was a really well-known philosopher, and he had said, you hear all those cheesy quotes about life is a journey and enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. Well, yes, it's cheesy, but he's kind of right. And he used this metaphor of when you listen to music, think about your favorite song, your favorite artist. Think about how it makes you feel. You enjoy the whole song, right? You don't just fast forward to the last note and then hear the last on a guitar and you're like, woo, we did it. Yes, that's all I needed was the end goal. But we treat life that way. We're like, fast forward through the journey, just need the last part. And he says, life should be seen as song and dance. You enjoy the whole thing. Imagine if you went to a concert and the artists get up on the stage and just play the last note. You're like, what? I came here to enjoy the whole thing, right? So again, it's not about the end goal, not about the destination. So if you can learn and decide to be happy right now, it will really help your overall just mental health and well-being. This last one is the biggest lesson, and I wish I could just put it in all of your minds and it would be done, but this is one of those things that's going to get learned the hard way, is learning to let go. Now, a lot of the resistance I'll get in these talks, especially from high-achieving students, will say, so you're telling me to not have goals? You're telling me to just be all hippie-like in life and do yoga and live in the rainforest, or what? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is make goals. Absolutely, right? Figure out what it is you want to achieve. But at the same time, learn not to be so attached to the outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? So you want to work in education, you want to work as, in PR, in marketing, whatever it is. You have this idea, absolutely, and go for it. But things are going to change, so be flexible. I know you have this idea of what success looks like that you wrote down on your paper, or what happiness looks like. But remember, you're going to change a lot. So be flexible. Maybe, just maybe, you haven't thought of the best scenario for yourself. You think, oh, this picture is perfect. This looks good. But then maybe life has even a better picture waiting for you. Okay, so again, be flexible. It's okay when things don't turn out the way they do. I'm a big believer that things all happen on purpose, for a reason, in a certain order. If I had the time, I would show you how this moment right now, there's so many things, so many mistakes and failures and tragedies and things that I was like, I can't believe that happened to me. Why is life doing this to me? And I see that life was just setting me up for something I could have never imagined, because we sell ourselves short a lot of the time. And so that's why I'm saying just learn to let go. And you could practice this like in traffic. Who takes the 405 ever? Oh my gosh. So learn to let go that you cannot control the traffic, right? Learn to be happy in that moment. Play a song, enjoy it. I'm telling you, these last things are really the best things you can do for yourself. And they're not easy at all. So if I'm making it sound easy, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do false advertisement. These are very hard, but I know I teach in CLA, so I'm biased, but I really think we're the best college. Like, woo, I really do. And I just feel like the students I meet here are always so anxious and excited and ambitious about changing and making positive changes to the world. I always tell people, one of the big quotes I live by is, be responsible for the energy that you bring to the world. So every day think about, what am I bringing to the world, because it's going to affect all of us. So thank you all for having me. If you have questions and answers, this is what we'll do with our last couple minutes. So I'm here if you have questions answered, or you can come up to me after. Is that okay, Michelle, if we do it now? Okay. So any pressing questions that anyone thought, wait a second, I have a question? No? Yes?
So you said that you went straight from your undergrad to your grad program.
I did.
Do you think that, or do you wish you would have taken a year off or something to do an internship, or do you think that going straight through helped you in your life?
Okay, so that's like a loaded question. So 2 parts. What honestly, the only thing that I think was beneficial was I was already in that student mode, like that grind mode. So it was easy to just jump in and be a slave for 2 more years, right? So that was easy. I do, however, in a perfect world, wish I would have given myself just some time to figure out, what does this mean? Do I really want this? Getting to know the program a little bit more, things like that. I do wish I would have given myself at least a year to just breathe, do an internship. However, I have had friends who have done that, and they say the one negative thing is it was so much harder readjusting to being a student again. You get used to that freedom, and then you have to adjust again, and it's a little bit harder. So yeah, that's a two-part answer. Sorry if it wasn't direct. Any other questions? That was a great question. Yeah?
How did you end up here wanting to be a motivational speaker?
We don't have enough time for that answer. How did I end up here? Short answer is I needed a job when I was laid off. And Long Beach called me and they said, hey, we need this class covered. Can you do it? And I was like, I guess. I need money. Like, I wasn't super excited about it. And then I started teaching and I saw that people still believe that, oh, I'm going to be so successful. And I got this passion to teach people that, hey, wait a second, like, yeah, your degree's great, but there's so much more to you as an individual that you have control over that is really going to attribute to your happiness. And if you're happy, in my mind, you're successful, right? So that's kind of how I fell into that, but there's so much more that we can talk about later. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for having me.